GPS News, news for exactly where you are. I'm your host, Eric King.
And I'm Daryl Geddes, and these are the top stories for this week.
We have a big story in the news right now about some major progress in diplomatic relations between North Korea and the United States, as well as some major shots fired in the competitive world of fast food.
Fast food. And as usual, we'll have our health minute. This week in history, we'll be giving a shout out to a restaurant that I love called East Street Social and taking a look at one of their dishes called steak tartare.
We kick things off internationally with a USA Today article called North Korea-U.S. Talks, Why Make the Offer Now, and What Does the North Want in Return?
What does the North want? I'm actually quite curious to find that out myself. President Trump will meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un by May for high-level talks toward a nuclear-free Korean peninsula. The North Korean National Security Advisor said outside of the White House on this past Thursday.
We'd be making a bit of history because it would be the first face-to-face meeting between a U.S. president and a North Korean leader. The announcement comes days after North Korea said it would be open to talks and offered to suspend nuclear missile and weapons testing during that time.
Had no idea that was going on. Now, we're only going to touch two questions that were asked in this article. The first question is, what does North Korea want in return for agreeing to the talks? Question number two is going to be, why is the North making this offer now?
All right, let's hit on number one. What do they want? Ultimately, North Korea would like to unite the entire peninsula under its rule. And that would mean removing U.S. troops from South Korea and getting security guarantees from the United States that it would not attempt to overthrow the Kim regime.
The U.S. has more than 25,000 troops based in North Korea. North Korea also wants the lifting of international sanctions that have pinched the nation's struggling economy.
Yes, that international bullying that we touched on, embargoes and such a couple weeks ago for our word of the day. And number two, why now? It is the result of efforts by South Korean President Moon Jae-in to ease tensions in the peninsula and get the United States and North Korea to talk to each other. So it's efforts from the South that's really helping this out.
The first step with getting North Korea to accept Moon's invitation to participate in last month's Olympics in the Pyeongchang, South Korea, that paved the way for this week's visit by members of the Moon administration to meet with Kim.
Yeah. So in conclusion, it's certainly no coincidence that on the heels of the North Korean and South Korean Winter Olympic athletes flying under a unified flag in an international display of solidarity, which we covered a couple of weeks ago. And honestly, the lessons I gotta get from this, and I think we can all take from it, is that until there could be no external peace until internally the conflicts are resolved. And so I commend the South Korean president for...
You know what time it is. It's time for our health minute. Today we're going to be looking at strep throat and some home remedies that can bring you relief. What is strep throat?
Well, common symptoms of strep throat include sore throat, fever, swollen lymph nodes in the neck, and in some rare cases, complications involving the heart and kidneys.
Me personally, I just got over strep throat and the flu, so I actually used just about all of these remedies. First, we're going to look at supplements. You can use elderberry. Elderberry actually fights bacteria, and strep throat is a bacterial infection inside of your throat, your lymph nodes. So you can drink elderberry tea, take capsules, or use elderberry powder. It also comes in liquid form.
All right. And for number two, we look at echinacea, known as another way to prevent the common cold. Researchers suggest that there are many powerful echinacea benefits, including the ability to work on the immunoenhancement herbs that can stop the spread of bacterial conditions like strep throat. It can also keep bacteria and viruses from entering healthy cells. So an ounce of prevention, folks.
It's good stuff. Echinacea can also be used to relieve pain related to strep throat, such as a sore throat, headaches, and body aches, which all come with it. It has an anti-inflammatory effect that will help to reduce swelling in the throat and in the tonsils. Take echinacea in a liquid form, as a tea, or in capsule form as your symptoms appear.
Yeah. And for number three, we look at something we all know about, vitamin C. No, I'm not gangbang. Use vitamin C to boost your immune system, repair tissues damaged in the throat, and decrease the risks of a wide range of other illnesses. You know, we all know about vitamin C. It just helps to boost the overall immune system.
We do all know about that vitamin C. That's why we kept it short on that. Also, vitamin D. Get your sunshine. A recent study published in the International Journal of Infectious Disease houses that there's a link between vitamin D deficiency and the reoccurrence of respiratory conditions caused by Group A, Strep bacteria.
All right. So now let's look at what we can eat and drink besides those supplements to help us, home remedy symptoms of strep throat. Number one, raw honey. You know, we all kind of know about that a little bit. A daily dose of raw honey raises the level of healthy promoting antioxidants in the body, and also helps boost the immune system, and is one of the several soothing strep throat home remedies, and I'm willing to bet probably one of the better tasting.
It does taste really good. I personally had raw honey with chamomile tea, put some lime inside of there, drank that, helped out so much. According to research published in the Asian Pacific Journal of Tropical Biomedicines, honey's healing property is due to its antibacterial activity, ability to maintain a moist wound condition, and its thick consistency that helps to create a protective barrier to prevent infection.
Studies have found that medical grade honeys have strong antibacterial activity that it creates to fight infection within the body, and may prevent several life-threatening diseases that infect the human body.
And last but not least, we're going to take a look at herbal tea. Drink herbal tea. Like I said, I had chamomile. Drink herbal tea to soothe your throat, ease pain, and treat inflammation of the mucous membranes. Chamomile tea is a great choice because the plant is loaded with antioxidants that help reduce pain, congestion, swelling, and redness. Dandelion tea is another one of strep throat home remedies because it is used to treat infection. It's going to ease upset stomach and boost your immune system.
All right. And then a quick one to end it here, apple cider vinegar. You know, some of y'all are up on game, some of y'all aren't, but sipping apple cider vinegar is an easy way to treat strep throat naturally. It has powerful healing compounds and such as acetic acid, which can kill dangerous bacteria and helps kill the growth or the spread of bacteria within the body. And as we come at the end of this winter season, it gives us this last hurrah. These have been your Health Minute Tips. Speaking of health, let's go ahead and talk about something that we as Americans especially know all too well and is the complete opposite: fast food.
Fast food. In an article from Business Insider entitled "Wendy's is slamming McDonald's as a new weapon emerges in the fast food wars. And it's clear whose burger is better. McDonald's and Wendy's have a beef over fresh beef standoff."
It's going down. This past Tuesday, McDonald's announced it will be swapping frozen for fresh beef in all of its quarter pounders across the U.S. by early May. That's roughly 3,500 locations in the U.S. that have already made the switch, which the company has said it resulted in hotter, juicier burgers.
I'm a burger man myself. I love burgers. Wendy's, long known as the fast food king of fresh beef burgers, fired back at the rival fast food chain on Tuesday, posting a string of tweets highlighting the fact that McDonald's wasn't planning on making the switch with all of their burgers.
Quoting, "You shouldn't have to use a decoder ring to figure out what quality you're going to get when you order a burger," said Kurt Kane, Wendy's chief concept and marketing officer, when he talked to Business Insider. That's what we like to call shots fired.
Shots fired, shots taken.
Man down.
Now, the writer did do a taste test comparison and admitted that McDonald's quarter pounder was indeed a vast improvement, saying, "Taking a bite out of the difference that the fresh beef makes is immediately obvious. Hotter, juicier, and finally freed from its mulch-like texture. The fresh beef burger is a vast improvement over the old school quarter pounder."
However, even when ordering Wendy's classic single, plain, Quoting here, Wendy's burger didn't need any toppings to top McDonald's. The burger is quite simply that good.
I need to go get me one of these burgers.
I'll be right now.
Maybe it's because Wendy's spent decades cracking the fresh beef code. Or maybe it's just because McDonald's needs to maintain its signature fast food flavor. Whatever the reason, Wendy's is still top dog and the latest fast food burger battle.
And based on only the quarter pounder I randomly ordered, double quarter pounder, I randomly ordered a bar closed at the U last Thursday night. A change is definitely needed. However, great fries though.
You know what time it is, or maybe you don't, because we've never done this segment before. We're going to shout out a restaurant, Eat Street Social, and a dish, steak tartare. What's steak tartare?
Well, the name is shortened from its original à la tartare, or served with tartar sauce, a popular dish in the 19th and early 20th centuries.
This dish has got some history. The modern version of steak tartare with raw egg was first served in French restaurants early in the 20th century. What is now generally known as steak tartare was then called steak à la americane. Steak tartare was a variation on that dish. The 1921 edition of Escoffer's Le Guide to Culinary defines it as steak à la americane, made without egg yolk, served with tartar sauce on the side.
Yeah. But over time, the distinction between steak à l'américaine and its variants disappeared. And in the 1938 edition of La Russe Gastronomique describes steak tartare as raw beef served with raw egg yolk without any mention of tartar sauce. Formerly, it was called tartar steak. Although the word tartare presumably refers to the Tartar people of Central Asia, and there are many stories connecting steak tartare with them, steak tartare is not related to the Tartar people's cuisine.
Not at all. A la tartare, or simply tartare, still means served with tartar sauce. For some dishes, mostly fried dishes. The name tartar or tartare is now sometimes applied to other meats or fish, such as tuna tartare, introduced in 1975. So it's kind of just good lingo that goes along with good food. But yeah, that's it. Check out East Street Social.
Yeah.
Check out their steak tartare. They serve it after 3 o'clock. It is amazing. That's all I gotta say. I gotta have it.
I'll holler at them soon. On this edition of This Week in History, we look at the start of something we all know, love, and are so dependent on today, the telephone.
Ring, ring. On March 7th, 1876, 29-year-old Alexander Graham Bell receives a patent for his revolutionary new invention called the telephone.
Yes. The Scottish-born Bell worked in London with his father Melville Bell, who developed visible speech, a written system used to teach speaking to the deaf. And in the 1870s, the Bells moved to Boston, Massachusetts, where the younger Bell found work as a teacher at the Pemberton Avenue School for the Deaf. So it really started off with a great cause.
It's pretty sweet. While in Boston, Bell became very interested in the possibility of transmitting speech over wires. Samuel F.B. Morris's his invention of the telegraph in 1843 had made nearly instantaneous communication possible between 2 points. The drawback of the telegraph, however, was that it still required hand delivery of the messages between telegraph station and the recipient, and only one message could be transmitted at a time.
So Bell had an idea. Bell wanted to improve on this by creating a harmonic telegraph, a device that combined aspects of the telegraph and the record player that allowed individuals to speak to each other from a distance. With the help of Thomas A. Watson, a Boston machine shop employee, Bell developed the first prototype for the telephone.
3 days after the patent, the telephone carried its first intelligible message from famous Mr. Watson, "Come here, I need you," from Bell to his assistant.
Yes. So again, thank you, Mr. Bell, for your efforts, because almost 150 years later, you truly were a pioneer for communication and a game changer. And I'm sure that we could never have imagined how far this thing would go way back then from a simple telegraph.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. You know what time it is. It's time for the word of the day.
Yeah. And the word of the day is
Impediment.
what's an impediment? Great question. It's a noun which basically means an obstruction or obstacle that gets in the way or interferes with something. So, we face impediments all the time. An impediment to getting up is being lazy. An impediment to working out is the soreness afterwards. An impediment to facing your fears is that fear itself. So as you go out throughout this week and face the impediments in your life, just know that you can always overcome them.
Overcome those impediments.
Yes. And as always, we thank you all for joining us here at GPS News. Let your heart not be troubled.
Either let it be afraid.
Peace.
Love.
Thank you all so much for watching this edition of GPS News. If you like what you saw,
remember to like, share, and subscribe.